Oh, you got your jewelry? I got my tiny ones. I'm having penis envy right now.
I gotta show up for the boys, you know.
Explain the pants.
I was afraid. Yeah,
Explain the pants. That is the only thing you
pants.
No.
You don't like the parachute pants?
Yeah, that's the only picture I saw. And I'm like, what is this man wearing?
I love those pants, man. I feel like they made me look like a Street Fighter character, you know?
Absolutely. Go eat the chicken underneath the trash can. What the fuck?
I think that's the wave. Like, you know, we got to look more like characters nowadays, I think, than just like straightforward.
We really do, but I kind of overdid it with the stereotypical alcoholic Slav, which I to an extent am. But now, if I talk about anything except Eastern Europe, everybody just turns off, or, you know, addiction and shit. But I'm fixing it. I'm slowly fixing it. But speaking of being a Slav, you were in Croatia at the same time, I believe, when I was in the US. My fucking chat spammed me like crazy. Why the fuck didn't you call me, motherfucker?
When I went to Croatia?
Yeah. Because the Balkans are just like one village, and I would have.
I know. I didn't want you to think less of me that I went to Croatia. I mean, I guess it's like more acceptable than like, you know, Albania or Bosnia or anything like that. Of course,
no, I love Croatia and Bosnia. Come on, Jesus. I'm a proper Yugoslav, which doesn't include Albania, of course. Love how this is starting the exact same way as last time.
Of course it doesn't include Albania. Albania was, Enver Hoxha was too radical. Tito was a revisionist who didn't understand the vision.
Absolutely.
That the Maoist leadership of Enver Hoxha represented.
Until he split with the Chinese too. He started supporting his own militias in some random African country.
Did you enjoy it at least? Did you have time to enjoy it because you're so content-pilled?
Yeah, no, I did. It was amazing. It was beautiful. It's kind of crazy that it's like they just straight up live in fortresses out there still. Like they're it's kind of wild. I went to the Communist Museum, the Red Museum in Croatia, which is funny because like obviously Croatia is EU. You know, even though it's like one of the lowest of the totem pole states in the EU, it feels like it's like the ugly duck of the EU. They like rarely ever help them out, it seems. They really help them develop, but like because I think Tito is Croatian, that there is like still a little bit of reverence there.
Is
for
that
him.
what the Croats kept saying? Is that what the Croats wrote?
I was just waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
No, because it's very funny. You either have like nationalist Croatians, which are so nationalist that they hate Tito, so they're like, he was definitely not Croatian, and then you have nationalist Croatians that are so nationalist that everybody is Croatian, so even our enemies are Croatian. Otherwise, they would not have been able to defeat us. So Tito is also Croatian. Yeah.
No, I think that's literally it though. Like it's because Tito is like from there technically originally that like there's obviously a little bit of tension with like, I mean they did talk a lot about like how he liberalized the economy. That was a good thing, and how great it was even in the fucking communism museum. But like overall there was like definitely a lot more reverence for him there than I would have expected. Like I thought it was going to be like all garbage. Like he was a bad guy. The nationalists were the heroes. I can't believe how violent the partisans were. Like, there was a little bit of.
They didn't pull.
There was a little bit of. No, they did do that. Like you go, there's like a black curtain that you pass behind, and inside of that area is like the dark side of communism.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of like cool stuff that obviously the glorious Yugoslavian Republic was able to put together in terms of like medicine, things like that, you know. And like all the cool things that they built, but there is like the dark side of communism area in the museum where they talk about like how maybe they did a little bit too much killing, and also they don't really specify. No, literally they don't specify that it was like the fascists. They will be like, oh, anyone who was declared an enemy of the state was branded as like a collaborator, and it's like, I'm sure that happened every now and then with like an angry neighbor. You know, who's like, yeah, this guy's a fucking Nazi, even though it's like, it's because he's not trimming his hedges or whatever. But like, but beyond that, I think like the, you know, broad majority were fucking fascist collaborators that were getting brutally murked.
I had an educator of sorts that was Serbian at a point in my life. And she told me about, she was older, and she was telling me about how her dad was imprisoned during Yugoslav times. and it was like a good lengthy period imprisonment too. And she always like skirted around the topic of why exactly he was in prison until I kind of, we discussed long enough. And then we found out that he would write up basically like poetry and short stories in which every other minority population around Yugoslavia that was not Serbian, he was compared to like rats and fleas and shit. And it was just hyper racist.
Wow.
And I was like, okay,
so
fantastic.
Yeah. Serbians by and large are not known for that sort of thing, so I'm just really confused.
I know.
Of course, you would be Turk. I'm fucking right. No, interestingly, Tito is buried in Belgrade, and that museum of Yugoslavia was built before he had died. I'm guessing the one in Croatia was actually probably built after socialism, quote unquote, fell in the state. But I mean, we've had this conversation 1,000 times here on the show. You have quite progressive thinking people, which are like Yugo nostalgic, et cetera, et cetera. In all of the post-Yugoslav republics, and then you have the nationalists, and it's a very weird borderline family thing here. It's like if the majority of your grandparents were on this side, then that's who you're going to support. If the majority of your family were communists, most likely the grandparents pass that down on the kids, who are most likely your parents, and then that's who you end up being. It's kind of become tribal, less than what you actually believe in, but more like picking a team, because we've quite literally embraced, and that's in most countries that have gotten out of socialist experiment, if we want to call it that. Like we just like genuinely feel like it's over. This new system won, and we gotta deal with it. To an extent, we've naturalized it more than even countries that never even tried to make a similar thing. But I
think one of the worst things I experienced in Croatia was like, I think it was like the Ottoman gene in me, where I would like get to a hotel and there would just be like a dude that's tall for no fucking reason, who was like at the reception desk, right? And in my mind, I immediately was like, well, that guy would make a phenomenal basketball player. So I'd ask him, be like, so do you play basketball? He'd be like, no, I play handball, or no, I play volleyball, or water polo's big in Croatia. And I was like, what a fucking waste of talent, dude. Like, if Yugoslavia was still around, like they would be so dominant this Olympic season. Like they would have probably beat the American team.
But they had a fantastic basketball. Even back then, they were great.
Yeah. Serbia was now third. Croatia keeps being first, second, third in football. Like the MVP of the entirety of the U.S. is a guy from a random fucking village in the south of Serbia that eats pizza and drinks rakia every fucking night. It's just something about it. I don't know. It's a culture of sport that was kept also from back in Yugoslavia, et cetera, but we're also just very, very fucking tall. But Hasan, you really missed a chance with saying, I was an Ottoman, like the Ottoman in me kept seeing all these tall Slavs. You missed a chance to say they would make some fine Janissaries.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. That's what I was
gonna fuck.
No, that is what I'm saying. Like I immediately, when I see like a tall Slav, I think like I got to put him to work. Like I like
pledge allegiance to the Sultan.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Immediately, like the epigenetic memories kicked in, and I thought it was like a massive waste. Like,
hilariously, you probably have some of that blood in you, Hasan.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm 6'4". Like not many Turks are this pale and also 6'4".
I'll teach you Cyrillics one day. Trust me. I mean, Hakim wasn't a Serbian guy, some leader during the Ottoman times.
My favorite.
In Iraq as well.
Some Serbian guy was made a pasha and then given Iraq to rule over, or at least the Walai of Baghdad. So for in the middle of the 1800s, some Serbian guy was, he probably did a better job than any of our current politicians, goddamn.
There is probably like a 0.0001% chance that all three of us are related, and I am so here.
It's way higher than this, my guy.
It's the communist genome. It was race science all along. Class consciousness comes from the blood.
Do you want to know?
Fuck dialectical materialism. Honestly, like that stuff is nonsense. We should be talking about this.
Like the fuck is a dialect?
Dude, I
don't understand it.
You think the racist epigenetic memeing happens only in the Balkans? Iraq is a melting pot, but far longer back than the US or any other country is generally. And the relative populations that have passed through are just generally whatever the fuck conqueror comes in and out, or people who are escaping some invasion or genocide or whatever, right? So at a certain period of our history, we had a lot of Armenians and Georgians in Iraq.
Why were there a lot of Armenians?
Yeah, I wonder
We
why.
don't Hakim, I told you don't mention the fucking Armenians to the Turk, okay? Jesus
Exactly right.
It's so funny because like people still will constantly say I deny the Armenian genocide, like constantly, which is crazy because like I never
Because you
have.
do.
But,
Yeah, and I love Srebrenica. I'm like, I wake up and I masturbate to Srebrenica. Like, same shit.
Yeah.
It's just,
People are ridiculous.
it's wild because there's always people who do deny like the indigenous genocide.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly,
mean? Like they just don't. That's like, oh well, they were barbarians. We had to tame them.
Exactly right. It's the white man's burden.
Or deny the ongoing atrocities in Gaza, like the genocide in Gaza.
Exactly right. What I was getting at though was on my mom's side, there are a lot of pale people. There are a lot of like ginger stuff like that. My dad's side is the exact inverse. So because of this, I'm like, where did this happen? And instead of trying to basically come up with a logical conclusion that sometimes there are ginger people in Iraq, I mean, Izzat Duri, the former vice president of Iraq during the Saddam era, he was a ginger, for example. Instead of just being like, yeah, this just exists, they came up with this fanciful tale of having Georgian ancestry somewhere up there. And I half believe it because of just shit that I've seen in my family and weird traditions that on my mom's side. But
like Georgians also don't really look like they don't look that
That's the thing.
Slavic in my
Not
like,
at
they
all.
look fucking Turkish.
Yeah.
My race science brain goes fucking crazy when I see a Georgian. I can spot a Georgian fucking 10 kilometers away.
And that's the thing.
If I would see Hakim, like I would be like, okay, maybe it's a darker skinned Serbian guy or Croatian guy. No, like unironically. But a fucking Georgian, no. Georgians are just built different. Their alphabet is different. Everything Georgian is different except the red wine. That shit is based.
But yeah. No, what I was getting at is that the memes are, oh yeah, blue eyes and tall and blonde. I'm like, have you seen a Georgian? Have you seen?
Yeah.
You go to.
They are not.
Yeah, my
they're
God.
not built like that at all. I mean, Stalin was a manlet.
Yeah, generally.
They're so
but he
fucking
was
hairy.
also-
They're like the missing link, you know? Okay, that was too much.